Have you ever wondered why you feel so out of place in a world that pretends to be awake, but lives asleep? Why your presence unsettles, your silence echoes, and your pain seems to go unnoticed, yet leaves a trail in the unseen? Could it be that the very things that make you feel too much, too deep, or too sensitive are the signs of a spiritual inheritance you've been carrying all along? Chosen one, you didn't find this message. It found you. And this was never just another video. It's a divine interception. Something ancient stirred the moment you pressed play. That sensation, the subtle shiver running down your spine, that sudden awareness that something big is about to be revealed, that's not coincidence. That's alignment. That's the sacred memory of who you really are starting to whisper again. You, who were marked before birth. You, whose palms speak of a divine signature. The letter M, the crescent moon. You, who have always sensed something more, even in your silence. If your soul felt a vibration, even the smallest one, in these first seconds, it means the veil is thinning, and you are being called, urgently, unmistakably. So pause, feel your breath, look within, and if you feel this is your moment, comment, "I feel it" below. That simple act will anchor you in this journey. And subscribe, because what we are about to unlock will not only change your perception, it will change your entire energetic field. You are not broken. You are encoded. You are not behind. You are hidden. Until now. And today, we begin the unveiling. Because the message that's coming has been sealed in the sacred for millennia. Passed from light beings, through scribes of wisdom, through the whispers of Thoth himself. And now it arrives here, through time, through energy, through resonance, to be awakened in the ones who carry the marks. But be warned, once you hear it, you cannot return unchanged. Because once awakened, the soul refuses to go back to sleep. And what you are about to feel next is the first layer of the truth that was always yours. You were never ordinary, not even in your silence. The world tried to mold you into something it could understand, but your energy always resisted. Your presence always said more than your words could explain. And now, finally, you're beginning to understand why. The markings, those divine traces etched into your hands, are not artistic accidents of biology. The M, the crescent moon, they are ancient symbols encoded within you, not only on your skin, but vibrating through your soul. You're not just someone who feels deeply. You are someone whose frequency has always been different. You are not from here, at least not in the way others are. Your soul arrived wrapped in mystery, cloaked in memory, and destined for mission. But for years, maybe for lifetimes, you've questioned your own power. You tried to silence what you didn't yet understand. You doubted the whispers, buried the callings, and wore masks just to feel safe. Yet something in you refused to die, because it wasn't weakness. It was hibernation. It wasn't confusion. It was encoded waiting. You were not lost. You were being aligned, and now the alignment begins to show. You've noticed it, haven't you? The repeating patterns, the strange knowing, the way you feel the room before words are spoken, the way your body reacts to what others don't even notice. That's your vibrational field speaking. That's the signature you carry, a frequency encrypted with spiritual fire. You were marked not for decoration, but for remembrance. Everything you've suffered wasn't in vain. The betrayals, the silence, the loneliness, it was refinement. A divine alchemy. Because those chosen to carry the sacred codes must be emptied of all illusion before they can be filled with light. And now you're starting to remember who you are, what you carry, why you were hidden, and why now is the time to rise. But before you can fully activate what lives inside you, you must first understand the prison that has been built around your field. A silent cage of beliefs, memories, and inherited frequencies that keep your light from radiating at full force. And that's exactly what we're about to unveil next. Are you ready to see what has been secretly shaping your reality from the shadows? Imagine standing in the middle of a vast space, a space with no walls, no ceiling, no visible borders. And yet, this space surrounds you at all times. It moves with you. It pulses with you. It responds to you. This chosen one is your vibrational field, the invisible force that speaks on your behalf before you utter a single word. The energy that shapes what finds you, what stays, and what always seems to slip away. But what if I told you this field isn't neutral? What if I told you that, right now, even as you breathe, your energy is emitting a frequency that the world responds to, not based on what you want, but based on what you believe? Not what you hope for, but what you carry. That is the trap, and that is the liberation. Because the truth is, your life is not being dictated by luck or chance or fate. It's being sculpted by energy, and energy obeys one law: resonance. What you vibrate is what returns. Your relationships that never seem to work out. The doors that always close at the last second. The cycles of lack, of fear, of emotional collapse. They are not random. They are echoes, reflections of a field that was shaped by beliefs that were never even yours. From childhood, from ancestral pain, from collective trauma. Your field has been programmed to hold frequencies that drain, that sabotage, that dim. And here's what hurts the most. You've been punishing yourself for patterns that were never born from your truth. You've been carrying the weight of energies that do not belong to you. But here is where the shift begins. Because when you recognize that your field is not who you are, but what you emit, you realize you have the power to recalibrate it. The sacred power to release the frequencies of guilt, scarcity, self-doubt, and reclaim what has always been yours. Divine resonance. And this is not theory. This is not wishful thinking. This is ancient science. This is spiritual law. This is what Thoth knew. He knew that the ones marked with sacred signs, the M, the Crescent, would be born into families, societies, and lifetimes that tried to bury their signature in static noise. But those marks were made to endure time. They are the proof that your frequency can be rewritten. But before you begin that rewriting, you must understand what, or who, has been rewriting it for you, draining you, without your consent. Because in the next layer, we step into the battlefield of energy theft. And trust me, you've felt it. You've lived it. But now, you'll finally see it. Not all battles are visible. Not all wounds bleed. And not every thief uses their hands. You've felt it, more than once. That sensation of walking into a room and suddenly feeling heavy, restless, or strangely off balance. That weight that presses on your chest without explanation. That emptiness that follows a simple conversation, leaving you tired as if you had run a marathon of the soul. These are not random sensations. These are not imagined. This is energy theft, spiritual intrusion, and it's been happening silently, daily and often, from those closest to you. Chosen one, the moment you were marked with the letter M and the crescent moon, your energy became different, brighter, more magnetic, but also more vulnerable to energetic invasion. You are not just absorbing emotions, you are processing what others can't hold. And unless you become aware of this dynamic, you will continue to carry weights that were never yours to begin with. Energy does not ask for permission. It moves, it sticks, it transfers, and every room you enter, every person you meet, every interaction you allow, triggers an exchange. Some are mutual, sacred, uplifting, but most are not. Most are subtle, siphonings, where others unconsciously cling to your light because they've forgotten how to produce their own, not out of evil, but out of spiritual starvation. They are disconnected from their source, and so they feed on yours. You've seen it in relationships that left you drained, in conversations that felt like extraction, in environments that made your soul ache, and worse, social media has become the altar of emotional bleeding. Every scroll, every comparison, every exposure to chaos that doesn't belong to you opens cracks in your vibrational shield. The mind thinks it's passive, but the soul knows your energy is leaking. This is why your protection must become intentional. This is why your awareness must become sharp. Because you were not born to be a sponge. You were born to be a frequency. And those who carry divine marks were never meant to be consumed. They were meant to activate. So pause now. If you feel this truth stirring something ancient in you, comment below. I protect my energy field. Let this be your shield. Let the unseen hear your intention. Not everyone deserves access to your vibration, because next, you will discover the sacred key Thoth preserved for those who were chosen to command their own field again. The power to redirect what flows around you, and it begins with two forgotten forces. So simple, and yet so misused. There are forces so powerful, so elemental, that they move every vibration around you. Not crystals, not rituals, not mantras spoken by someone else, but something more ancient, something encoded in your being since the beginning. Two forces that, when aligned, unlock what has been dormant for lifetimes: intention and presence. Most people spend their entire lives scattered. Their bodies move, but their minds wander. Their voices speak, but their hearts are silent. They act, but they are never here. And when you are absent from yourself, your energy becomes porous, open to any frequency that passes by. You lose your command. You leak your light. You forget your divine center. Presence is not just being still. It is the bold act of returning to yourself. It is anchoring your awareness in the now, not as a concept, but as a lived, breathing moment. Chosen one, you, marked with the M and the crescent moon, were never meant to live in autopilot. Your frequency was designed to lead, to cleanse, to illuminate. But only when you are present can your field begin to reorganize itself. Only when your soul fully enters the body does your vibration begin to strengthen. And then comes intention, not passive wishing, not fragile hoping, but focused, divine command. Intention is the spear. Presence is the ground. Together, they part, veils. When you speak with presence, your words become energy. When you touch with intention, your hands transmit healing. When you breathe with both, you become a vessel of transformation. You don't need complex ceremonies. You don't need outer approval. What you need is to remember what your ancestors encoded in your blood. Your attention is your power. Your intention is your spell. Try this. Next time you place your hand over your heart, do it not as routine, but as a sacred act. Breathe. Feel the warmth. Let your intention ripple outward like a wave. You're not pretending. You're remembering, and from that memory the field shifts. The shadows begin to dissolve. The static begins to clear, and for the first time in what feels like centuries, you begin to feel yourself fully, whole, aligned, sovereign. But what if the body itself has been trying to speak to you all along, through pain, through tension, through silence? What if the next key to your healing is hidden right beneath your skin? Let's go deeper. There is a place within you that never forgot. A place beneath words, beneath logic, beneath memory. It lives in your breath, in your heartbeat, in your bones. It is the temple you walk in every day, your body. And it has been trying to speak to you for years, but you were taught to silence it. You were taught that pain is something to fix, numb, escape. That heaviness should be ignored. That fatigue is weakness. That tension is just stress. But the chosen ones, those marked with the M and the crescent moon, are not like the rest. Your body does not simply function. It speaks. It translates frequencies. It stores every moment your soul wasn't allowed to express what it truly felt. That knot in your throat, that's a voice unsaid. The weight on your shoulders, burdens you never chose. The tightness in your chest, love that was withheld. The aching in your gut, fear swallowed in silence. Your physical form is not a machine. It is a mirror. And what Thoth understood, and what modern medicine still struggles to grasp, is that energy unexpressed becomes illness. That emotions ignored don't disappear. They calcify. They create energetic congestion. And when energy no longer flows, the body begins to whisper, then shout, then break. But even in the breaking, there is an invitation. Because you were never meant to carry this pain forever. You were meant to alchemize it, to breathe into it, to place your hands upon it with reverence, not fear. The body responds to presence. It responds to love. It responds to truth. And when you breathe consciously, deeply, with full awareness, you awaken channels long forgotten. You invite flow where there was only pressure. You create space where there was only contraction. And through that space, energy begins to rise again. Like a river finally freed from a dam. You may cry. You may tremble. You may feel warmth or lightness, or something you cannot explain. Do not fear it. That is release. That is memory leaving. That is your field returning to alignment. Even spontaneous movement, dancing alone, shaking off the grief, stretching in silence, becomes sacred ritual. Your body knows how to heal. It always has. But it needed your permission. It needed your return. Because this isn't just physical, it's spiritual. And the one frequency that unlocks all layers of this healing is the one that has been closest to you all along. A frequency so ancient, so powerful, so pure, that it reorders everything it touches. And that's what we step into now. If there is one force capable of dissolving shadows without a fight, healing wounds without words, and restoring what centuries of pain tried to erase, that force is love. Not the kind defined by fleeting romance, unmet expectations, or emotional dependency, but the sacred frequency of love in its purest, most radiant, most universal form. This love is not a feeling. It is a frequency. It is the highest code of divine intelligence vibrating through all creation. Thoth knew this. The ancient ones knew this. And those who bear the marks, the M, the crescent moon, were chosen to embody it, not just speak of it. Your soul was not sent to echo the world's noise. You were sent to restore the tone of divine resonance. And that tone is love. This is the frequency that integrates, that purifies, that mends what the mind cannot understand. When you align with this vibration, everything within you begins to respond. The body softens, the mind clears, the field stabilizes. It is as if all parts of your being, long separated by trauma, finally remember they are one. Because love doesn't force, it invites. Love doesn't fix, it accepts. Love doesn't chase, it holds. And this holding is what allows the energy to shift. You do not need to speak it aloud. You only need to intend it. Breathe, feel, and allow this frequency to flow toward every frozen place within you. Toward your own shame, toward your grief, toward the spaces you've been taught to hate in yourself. This is how the healing begins, not by escaping your shadow, but by wrapping it in light. And as this love overflows from you, it no longer remains internal. It becomes your field, your environment, your signature. It begins to touch others. It clears rooms before you speak. It shifts people without effort. It repels what no longer matches, and it attracts what your soul has waited lifetimes to meet. You become a tuning fork for divine order, a vessel of vibrational justice, a lighthouse for the scattered and the seeking. But now that this frequency has been awakened in you, the question remains: how do you apply this in the physical world? How do you bridge the gap between inner knowing and outer reality? Because your field is ready, your spirit is listening, and the next step will bring it all together. What good is divine wisdom if it remains untouched in the sky of your thoughts? What good is healing energy if it never reaches your cells, your voice, your steps? This is where most chosen ones remain suspended, in the liminal space between knowing and living, between awakening and embodying. But not you. Not now. You've come too far. You've remembered too much. This is the moment where the vibration descends into the tangible, where the unseen becomes felt, where energy shapes matter. Because everything around you, every element, every object, every sound and color, carries its own frequency. Water, crystals, music, light. These are not accessories of spirituality. They are bridges, sacred extensions of your intention, amplifiers of your presence, tools that speak the same language as your soul. Vibration. When you cup your hands around a glass of water and infuse it with the frequency of healing, that water changes. Its molecular structure realigns, and when you drink it, your body recognizes its message. It's not superstition, it's resonance. It's biology meeting energy. Crystals respond the same way. They don't heal you. They remind you. Each stone holds a specific vibrational signature, a sacred note in the symphony of the universe. When you hold one with intention, it echoes into your field. It steadies what was scattered. It magnifies what was forgotten. Sound is another portal, a sacred vibration that travels through air but lands in the soul. A single tone, sung or heard in stillness, can unlock what thousands of words never could. Because sound bypasses logic, it goes straight to the structure. It rewrites the architecture of your field, just as color does. Every shade, every hue, whether worn on your skin, filling your space, or glowing in your vision, color speaks. And when you begin to listen, you start to paint your reality from the inside out. But don't be mistaken. These are not replacements for your power. They are mirrors, catalysts, companions. The real transformation begins and ends with you, because what's being activated now goes beyond tools. It's the realization that no mediator is needed between you and the divine. No one stands between your soul and its source. And now that you've begun to feel it, this raw, vibrating sovereignty, there is one last veil to lift. One final shadow to confront, and it hides not in the outer world, but within the very emotions we were taught to deny. Before divine light can fully flood your field, it must pass through the last barrier. Not a wall outside of you, but a labyrinth within, a place where energies once exiled now wait, twisting, echoing, distorting. And if you are truly ready to be free, this is where you must go. Every negative thought you've ever held, every unspoken resentment, every silent curse whispered in pain, they haven't left you. They've passed through your field like smoke through sacred cloth, staining, lingering, dulling your light. And here lies the truth most never want to hear. Energy obeys origin. Whatever you send out, no matter its target, must first pass through you. So when you curse another, you injure yourself. When you project envy, you pierce your own shield. When you think destruction, your cells tremble before your intention even reaches the world. This is why the chosen ones suffer so deeply when they turn their light into poison. You weren't built to carry darkness long. You weren't meant to live in distortion. That is why your body collapses under guilt, why your mind spirals under shame, why your reality fractures when you act against your own frequency. You can pretend. You can perform, you can mask, but your field does not lie. The universe doesn't respond to your image, it responds to your vibration. And so, the highest initiation begins, not with rituals or chants, but with a sacred confrontation. Can you look your shadows in the eye without flinching? Can you meet your bitterness, your rage, your grief, and choose to transmute rather than deny? Because only those who purify the field within can rise into the full expression of who they are. You do not need to be perfect. You only need to be honest and brave enough to face the echoes you've tried to silence. This is the final threshold before embodiment, before true freedom. And what lies beyond it is the full awakening of your divine architecture. Now we arrive at the final gate, the turning point of your entire incarnation. The space where your energy, your purpose, and your light merge into one, and the moment of full activation begins.